What's up, Rockstars? I have perhaps the most unique unboxing. I have a story to tell about this. This is Immortal Kings, the Black Keep, Gate something or other. Look, there's nothing else like this in the market. I want to talk about it right now. Okay, so as you can see, this came in a bag, pretty much just wrapped up lightly, though it did have fragile written on it, and, you know, so there's that, I guess. It does have this cool little tape that obviously has some threading in it to keep it nice. So it'll be a really easy opening. So I'm going to open that up and then I'm going to talk about it because this is going to be kind of loud probably with the bag. Alright, easiest unboxing ever. I do see a little bit of a dent here, so I did get a little damaged here, but overall, this is a pretty robust box. Okay, so what makes this game unique? This is the ultimate would not exist without Kickstarter I have ever seen, ever been a part of, and I only backed this because you guys told me to. I covered this a while back when it was on Kickstarter, not too long ago, and the reason I covered it is because it was a truly indie endeavor, but this is not made in China. As far as I know, nothing in this was made from China. This was all made here in the USA, I think really right there in New Mexico where they're located, and it's amazing to see that. I wanted to prove a point with this box, that the idea that you can only fund, that you have to have tens of thousands of dollars because you have to produce in China as a mass marketable item on Kickstarter is not only kind of hypocritical, but it's just being dense. You're just doing exactly what everybody else does and assuming that you need to make tens of thousands of copies with gigantic steel molds that are super expensive and huge production runs and global distribution, all that stuff. You don't have to do that. The miniatures in here are made from Siocast. Everything here was purchased and made locally. This is able to produce a fraction, a hair's fraction of the cost of what they had to do with if they had gone to like China and do all the logistics on that. It is so much easier to just ship it out of your home, in your garage somewhere, print it all, or do Siocast or whatever. It is possible. You can do it. This is proof. So this is the box they chose. They put the little art here and stuff like that. This is made by pretty much like 3-4 guys, right? So there's, or people. There's the guy, and then I think somebody did the sculpting, somebody did the concept art, and I think somebody else did one other thing. I can't even remember. Super excited to see this. So let's go and open this up. I just keep in mind, this is not shipped over the ocean. This is not some crazy production. This is truly indie. This is somebody who wants to make a game and is just able to make the game. They don't have to like, I'd love to make my game, but I didn't make $50,000 or $150,000 or $500,000. So I'm going to cancel it because if I don't make it in China and I don't make tons and tons of copies, I don't want to make my game. Not so, says this guy. And I love it. I dig it. So it's all, again, all this is just self-done. And it's amazing. Amazing to see it happen. Okay, so my understanding is to keep costs down, they did remove the terrain. So the terrain, oh, it looks like one opened up. Oh, well, we'll find that out. The terrain was provided by STL. You either print it out yourself or pay a company to print it or have a buddy print it. So it looks like this is a little Demon Slayer card for that. I imagine each one kind of has their own stuff here. So we're going to go ahead and, I guess, take some of this out. First of all, I do love the, like, full inner art piece. Like, that's awesome. Look at that dude. You can, like, barely see me so big. That's cool. I dig that. All right, so, oh, yeah, see, we got dice in here. And some more minis. So everything is almost just put into these old things, which, again, you can just buy these and use them. You don't have to, again, you don't have to do this whole, you know, put it through a factory, some crazy production run thing. The Demonkin, I'll have to build these out and show them to you, just to show, not only that, but I'm going to get better quality miniatures from the Siocast than a lot of those Chinese, you know, mass market PVC miniatures that we get all the time. We got another Forces of Night Demonkin. We got a Crusader Knight. He looks super cool. We have a Demon Lord. We have a Penitent Knights. Some Penitent Knights, maybe not. Dragon Knights. I think that was one of the stretch goals we unlocked. And then this is the miniatures, I think, to this one, the Demon Slayers here, by the looks of it. And then this one looks like we just got some. Oh, maybe there's several of those guys in there. Looks like, and then several larger pieces, which I'm not sure exactly what it goes to. May have fallen out as well, but thankfully this is the newer version of the CO Cast, and it is a lot more robust of a resin than their older kind. We got some tokens here, like traps and stuff like that. Special items. So we got some items here. We have a little art print. Oh, this feels nice. What the heck was this print? Ooh, this is smooth. Very cool art. Let's see that printed there. Very nice. Love it. Love it. What a cool IP. Hope we can continue this. Looks like we got some more there. Maybe it didn't quite get in there. Oh, no. This is different because this is actually the card. So we'll look at that. Got some more cards here. Looks like objectives and whatnot. As you can tell, it's kind of like a skirmish game here. We got more special items here. Even the rule book. The reason you're not seeing a rule book is because that is available via PDF, and later on you can do a printed version, or you could go get it printed somewhere for a short cost. A lot of RPGs do that, right? A print-on-demand stuff. There's the bottom art that you can see on there. Very cool. I'm going to move all of this aside. This is the game board. Looks like it was just self-printed, and then you can kind of put it together and build it however you want. This is like really thick. It almost seems like a sticker, but I don't think it is. Or they stuck it onto this flexible thing. Either way, the idea, I believe, is you can customize it however you need, or I guess whatever makes sense, perhaps. I would love to maybe put it together the exact way it should, but I'm not sure how realistic that is, or even if that works. Like, I don't know. Okay. It's like a puzzle. There's one more here. Oh my goodness. Can't get it out. Oh yeah, okay. Alright, we're getting there. We got it. I don't think... Oh, bright on the bottom. Maybe that? Yeah, looks like it. Okay. Move aside. Putting together a map. And maybe this isn't... I don't think this is quite right, because that doesn't make sense. But either way, I mean, you get the idea, right? You have this... no, that's not the same copy. Anyway, you have this this map you can put together to actually play on the board. It's got the grids and all that. So that's the map. And again, this takes almost no space. I dig it. I love it. That's awesome. The minis, as you can see, are going to be kind of big. So we'll get to those. I'll build some for you. Let's zoom in, because we're going to look at some like cards and stuff like that. All right. So here we have some special items. So as you can see here, he just did like basic kind of symbols and stuff like that. Again, keeps kind of the art down and everything. Very easy to read, all that. So we got the cursed vessel. We got the demon axe. It would be great to get some cool art like that, but I understand why he didn't do that. Demon shield. A demonic aura. Oh, love those demonic auras. A fire potion. Glowing obsidian. Obsidian potion. Possessed skull. Does that skull have eyebrows? Screaming skull. And finally, we also have a writhing amulet. How lovely. So that's the special items. We're going to see what else we got here. We got like traps. Let's look at some traps. So, and again, like this won't take up a lot of space, which is kind of nice. Besides, again, the minis, like the map and everything is pretty small. Demonic spawn, falling ash, fire wyvern, goblin thieves, hellhounds, emulated skeleton, lava golem, smoke plume, and vampire. Vampire traps. My favorite kind of traps. Let's change it up a little bit. Go to objectives, and then we'll go to more special items. This one is going to be a little bit harder to get out of the... There we go. Tight fit. Okay. Are these all objectives? Yeah. So the objectives, we have thrill seekers. Kind of interesting that there's a little bit of like white there. It's like the print wasn't quite right. That's adorable. Dragon Slayer, faithful hate. You have a secret. You only want to watch the world burn. Hey, how'd you know? Hunter. Oh my goodness. Last Days. I'll tell you about the thickness of these in a moment. Oathbound, Revenge, and Weapon Collector. Now, one thing about thickness is the size matters, right? In other words, if you have something this big, then this thickness is very skinny and flexible, right? If this thickness is only that big, it's a lot more, it's a lot more rigid, right? Same thing with cards, right? If this was like a tarot-sized card or something like that, it'd be pretty thin. But this, honestly, this size, very nice. It's got a nice spring to it. I don't know what the core is or anything like that, per se, or what the grams are, pressure and all that stuff. But it's very smooth. It looks great. It looks like it printed very nicely. Again, there's a little bit of that white, but besides that, very, very nice. I don't see any mistakes there or anything like that. I don't know, what the red text is there. Do you see that? So if you like well-crafted killing instruments and you're always searching for more weapons, I don't know why well is underlined there. I'm not sure if that was like a grammar thing that printed out or if it was just like trying to really make sure you understood the well. I'm trying to see if there's another one that has that example. Of an underline there. Seems kind of funny. Or maybe it was a note they were going to do and then they didn't change it. That's the only thing with a underline. Interesting. Again, very indie, but I just think it's great that this guy was able to do what he wanted to do and not have to, fund a bajillion things or anything like that. He could build up to that. But I highly encourage other developers to make an action plan for production that involves multiple methods of production depending on your support. So if you only sell 500 copies, you can still make your game and just make it locally, still make a profit. Obviously not a huge profit, right? But your costs are low then too. And then if it becomes a big thing, then you can eventually lead up to doing a whole Chinese factory run. But you don't have to start there. I'm not going to read all of these. Suffice it to say, though, it looks like everything is unique, right? These are still special items. Looks like we got nothing but special items here. But I'm not seeing any things that are repeated. So it's all unique items, which is pretty cool. I dig that. The difference here, by the way, between these special items and those other ones is obviously the color, but also the format. So the icon goes from the left to the right. So these are special items, and these are special items. But I would think these are probably more special because they're red, and there's less of them. But who knows? Okay. Next up, we do have some dice and stuff. They're just your basic Yahtzee dice. It would have been nice to get some unique dice. Maybe that could have been a nice funding goal to eventually reach. It wouldn't cost, I think, that much to, if nothing else, do so. Though maybe they didn't want to do colors. Maybe they wanted just black and white. Maybe that was the goal. I don't know. There's no use in really taking these out. These are your very standard, big, fairly heavy, normal pips dice. So we got that. And then we also have these that are pre-built. So all right, so here they are. They're just these little chests, which are pretty cool. This one has a skull and is all spiky. This kind of reminds me of a Darksiders theme a little bit, like Darksiders 1 and 2 specifically, where it's just everything is super ornate and kind of chunky and all that. It looks like there is a little bit. Look how flexible that is. So there is some flex there from a little bit of plastic. You can probably actually probably rip it off, twist it off. I'm going to go ahead and just cut it off. There we go. Looks like there's actually a little bit on that side too. So maybe not quite trimmed completely from where the plastic ran through it in the CO cast. But you can kind of see the robustness of this plastic is quite nice. Okay, it does look like there are different symbols. So see this one. Oh, look. Actually, look at the size difference too. So there's they get better. Right? Is kind of what that's saying. Is they don't start. I wonder how many others are there? I don't even know. Looks like 2 big ones, and I think the rest are these smaller ones. Yes. Okay, so you got all of these smaller ones and 2 big bad boys there. So there's all of them. That's what you get there. So that's the separation. That's cool to see. Cool to see. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. We do get some of this, which is cool. It looks like they come in a little pack here. So you get like their art card, you know, so know what's in there. And then a little bit about more information, scan the code, stuff like that. Then you get the minis. They're super cool. I dig that as well. You also get a little card here, which is nice. Okay, take 10% off your next order or use code. Hey guys, go ahead and check him out. Show him some love. This true indie developer is making the game in the universe he wants to make, and not letting a desire to be the next Gloomhaven requirement prevent him from making what he wants to make, which is awesome, I think, and very responsible. So super cool to see that. Obviously, there's a whole bunch more. Look how much stuff is in there. Massive amount. So I got some building to do. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Obviously, there's some big guys here, right? So I'll do that, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. All right, we also have some unit cards here of some kind, so you can see the various art. Looks like each character has their own copy. The art is fantastic. I love it, by the way. It's super cool. And on this side, you can actually see them. Looks like they have an ability, or some kind of specialness, whether nimble or Crusader Helm, and then whatever their attack is as well. I don't know if it's all melee, or if there's ranged or magic or anything like that, or if there's even a different symbol for it. But either way, very cool. Yeah, and again, I like it. It's super clean looking, right? And then the art, just fantastic. All right, so obviously we want to look at the big guy first. Must say, pretty darn impressive. You do not get a lot of minis this size, this detailed, when it comes to like the pose and everything too often. You do like Shadows of Brimstone and stuff like that, so it's really nice to see indies being able to do really cool minis like this. The design's also very cool. I love that there are like no eyes at all. They must have sense your soul or something, who knows. They got like a really crazy good detailed row of teeth. It almost looks like, I don't think there's any eyes there. Obviously humanoid, but quite spiky, and like the spikes are like legit too. Like they are like real spikes. They're pretty sharp actually. Everything glued, I think, fairly well. There is a little bit of like open space here that I'll need to fill in. One of the things I did notice with the CEO cast is that there was a lot more cleanup involved than a lot of other miniatures. And that part of that's just them making the mold, right? This is a very indie thing. Also, I do need to clean this up. This is not supposed to be here, so I'll clean that up, but I haven't yet. I like the toe on the end here, but otherwise, you know, they have put some basing here, and they have some really cool like flame effect going on there. So painted up, he'd look awesome. That's a really cool sword. I really dig that. In other words, like I said, the assembly on a lot of this actually ended up quite good, right? So overall, very happy with him. I think he's awesome. It does just take a little bit more to kind of set it up, but it also helped with shipping. Before I move on to the other minis, one thing I wanted to note is that this box is 100% big enough to put him in and then close the lid. So if you wanted to build some kind of storage thing for that, you totally could. Or just be careful when you pick it up. You could have all your minis in there. And they're pretty robust too. I mean, I don't want to like take it apart. It's all super glue, but none of the parts are like super skinny or breaking off or anything like that. Let's look at some of the heroes. Let's go look at the lady first. All right, so one of the things I really like about the design of these characters, and they're all like this, is they all almost seem like tall and lanky. Do you see that? Like it's actually like scaled in, I think, a little bit more of a realistic way, where like the arms down will go a little bit past the waist, right? And otherwise, they have these legs kind of going in. I really like that. I appreciate the scale and design of them. I think they're all pretty good. This is solid here, but there is a little bit of a ridge, as you can see, so it's not too bad. And again, that is pretty low there, but technically putting that up a little bit more would have been a little nice. Otherwise, again, assembly went well. Like it's all bendy plastic, so it works well there. The hair is really cool. Facial features are nice. I really like the little small buckler shield that she has. I think that's awesome. And the half cape. I love these half capes. You guys know that. But yeah, very cool. And as you can see, I think they they turn out pretty well. Let's look at another character. Let's go and look at this guy. We'll talk about him a little bit. So again, the exact same thing when it comes to the scale of the person, right? I think they're very realistic here. His shield obviously is like huge and really cool there, so I really dig that. And again, they have these like layered cloth going on. That's a very big design for them, I feel. Though this kind of crown helmet looking kind of thing is great. And again, face looks super cool also. These lines are really crisp, which I appreciate as well. The one thing that probably you did notice is this big old thick sword. It is a little, I mean, obviously it's bendy. A hot water treatment will fix this, but it's just not the sharpest looking thing ever made, if that makes sense. So it should probably be a little bit like that, perhaps, or I guess like that. And then in that case, it's not even like necessarily straight. Like as you can tell, he's glued really well. At least for me, I feel like it. So I mean, it's just right there. So he's just not quite holding it like down straight either. It's more like this, unless there's some turning I needed to do. Or I don't know. But either way, as you can see, a little bent and melted. That's probably the worst offender out of all this. Otherwise, it's all good. Let's look at this guy because he's super cool. So here's a little bit more of a dynamic pose. This is not all of the characters, by the way. For instance, there are 3 of this guy, and they all have different poses. So just as an FYI there. Assembly fairly good. As you see, there's a little bit of a gap here. I didn't quite get this to fit in all the way, but I did get this to be level. So that was kind of my goal there. And this I'll just have to fill in or whatever. And as you can see, that bendiness does add a little bit there. So I'll have to do some, hot water treatment, put it in hot water and put it in cold water and bend it to where it needs to go. Though it mostly, you can almost just do it by hand a few times, and it's pretty good, actually. This blade, I think, turned out really good. It comes to a nice point there. I love the tassels and stuff flowing off of it. I love these smaller capes, but it all adds a sense of motion, right? All of this. I love the split cape there. It's really cool, so you can actually move around a lot more. So it looks like he's like twirling around, right? And I love that. His head seems really small, and I think that's probably a design choice, but his head seems really tiny for everything else. Because otherwise, I think he's super cool. He's this little tiny head. I mean, he's got these like giant arms and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting to see the head like that. But yeah, very dynamic, very cool. I really like this guy too. Again, there are 3 of him, all in different poses. And this one, I liked it because his sword is like just up, which I think is kind of different. So I actually glued it here as well. So so you can actually like pick him up by the sword, and because that'll be something you probably do often instead of just necessarily that. Either way, you're probably putting pressure there. Obviously it connects, I think right here, right on his arm, but that gave me another connection point right there. So I went ahead and glued it there, so it's nice and secure. Otherwise, again, love the kind of dynamic look of it all. It definitely has a very similar pose to this, right? So if you look at both of these, both have kind of a fist clenched hand kind of out. His is a lot more curved and a step forward, but again, his is a little bit more turned, whereas his is more straight. So while a similar idea, very different implementation. He's definitely not twirling. He's just kind of going forward. Love the hood and the face. All the faces I noticed are pretty passive in their look. They're not like grimacing or anything like that, but the features are really, really strong. So they definitely could. The detail inscribing on the blade is nice. The only thing I wish personally as a painter is that it was indented instead of extended out, because the indent will guide your brush really well and get the walls really well. This one, it's going to be almost impossible to get those walls. So it's kind of hard to get a good crisp line when you're painting them. Otherwise, this little trim here is good. And again, the blade I think turned out quite well. Not too skinny, not too fat. And again, you can see the lankiness. It's interesting to see that scale done because we don't normally see it. We also have this like dragon person. This is one of the stretch goals I believe that they added. I did add glue right there. I could probably add one there as well to even further connect it, but I mean it's super sturdy anyway. So again, I think the assembly, like right here, right, turned out really well. Right here turned out good. Mostly one piece here, so that was kind of nice. Again, constant motion. This I think also put on quite well. The scales also very cool. You can hear that maybe a little bit. Warhammer stuff looks great. Warhammer, the hammer for battle, I'll word it that way, looks great. Even this horn here has a little bit of an indent here, which I appreciate. So it's really easy to paint that and make it look like it's a hollow, right? Even when it's not. So yeah, no, again, very cool. And again, there are 3 different poses for this. This is one of the guys here. I think they even have different weapons. Last guy, and then we have a little demon dude as well. Not a little demon dude. So this one was kind of interesting. It was a very interesting build because there was something unique about it. Overall, he's just kind of standing there in a brandishing his weapon kind of pose. I love this armor plinking stuff, by the way, that's kind of hanging down off there. A very neat idea. Again, fully helmeted, which you don't see a lot of that, as opposed, it's the same unit, I believe, as this guy, but as you can see, different weapons, and even like the head's different and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. This blade, which I think turned out quite well, maybe a little thick, but not too bad, is glued right there, and as you can see, it's even then it's not perfect. It was kind of difficult because I had to hold like both these arms and then like try and hold that so it would like glue together well, because they didn't necessarily want to. As you can see, this bends a little bit, and so I could have spent some time cleaning it up. I ended up not, but or not cleaning up, but like making the position nice. But either way, it still looks really good from this angle. I think it looks fine from there. I might re-glue it a little bit now that these arms are really in there. It might be pretty easy to cut that and then glue it a little bit nicer, so I can play around with that. The thickness of this is fine. I'm okay with that because it should be, I guess kind of thick. It's a little straight perhaps, but again, he's standing pretty static. I just like that it's not all filled in here, so that looks good, especially when it's this open. You'll definitely see if it's filled in, so that's very nice. All right, now these guys are fighting against these demons, and all these demons are really large, as you can see. So here is one of the 2 sculpts. There are 2 sculpts, and you get 4 of them total, so it'll be kind of repeated. As you can tell, the assembly in this one I struggled with a lot more than most. The head turned out fine. I'm happy with that. The jaw turned out good. There's texture on the top one. There's a little bit of texture there, but it's weird that there's no tongue. Maybe they don't have tongues. I don't know. But same kind of idea with the horns and, no eyes and all that. So that's really cool. And the pose idea, very cool. And if I glue him like that, I think that works, right? Otherwise, he does fall back a little bit from his tail, which doesn't quite touch the ground, which I'm fine with. It's okay. But it means without a base, which you didn't get a base for these larger guys. So you're going to have to get a base. All of these guys, the bases did come with. But to get both these legs, so I did the legs first, right? I made sure those stood. And those legs did pretty good, right? There's a little bit of a gap, right? But it's very similar to like the gap on the back of his. And I always prefer a gap on the back than the front. Not so much because, often you're going to see them like that, but it's really easy to fill out anyway, typically on there versus in the front where it's more of an acute angle. But also, you want it to look good, when you like take pictures of it and stuff like that. So I got that, and then I went to do this, and this needed to be like level, right? And this is level, but to get that level, right, I had to introduce this big gap here. Right, it naturally kind of wanted to go out, but then he's like holding his hand slightly out, and it doesn't. It's not flat on the ground, right? So I opted to make it to where this is legitimate, and then I'll just have to fill in this big old gap here. But there is quite a big gap. Again, it wanted to kind of go out a little bit farther, so I don't think the sculpt necessarily worked well. This is the only one like this. The other one is not quite crouched like this. Otherwise, this went okay. But yeah, this gap right here is probably the big one. The tail also, I think, did fairly okay, though there is a big gap here. I had to pick between gaps, right? Which gap is it going to be, right? Or maybe trying to even it out on both and just have a lot more. But so maybe not quite. And maybe sometimes with the resin, you can clean it up a little bit and fit it in there a little bit nicer. I could have maybe done that. It just would have taken a lot of time. But either way, I think it looks great. It's a very cool sculpt. Very cool idea. And again, you're fighting against these guys, so like there's a big size difference as you can see, which is pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, that is that. Here's all the other minis that I still have. Let me zoom out a little bit for you. So there is still plenty there to build, right? There's more of these big demon guys. There's more characters, again, all with unique sculpts, really. So they're all different there, which is awesome. I appreciate that. And yeah, a lot of room. So plenty of room to organize. That being said, otherwise you're just left with this big box. So just as an FYI on that, when you store them, magnetize them, break them off their base, do whatever you need to do. I accidentally dropped that one on camera, of course. But super indie. And again, I love the fact that you're able to produce your game and fund and actually deliver and not kill yourself trying to make some giant thing in China. You can do it all local. You can keep scope and control down a little bit, and I think that's super cool. If you have any questions about this, do let me know. And again, thank you to my patrons and YouTube members, because it is through them that I even backed this game. Because this is not going to get the crazy views. It's not a super popular game, right? That's the whole point. Is it's this indie thing I wanted to show off, and your funds allow me to do that. So if you appreciate the kind of coverage I do in this channel, feel free to check those links out in the description below. But regardless, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys again really soon. Bye.